I am excited to be back with Matt Dollinger again, back by popular demand. The questions came flooding in after he was here last time. So, Matt, thank you for coming back.
I love being here. This is fun.
I think that was dripping with sarcasm, but I'm going to keep running with it.
No, I like you know me. Anytime I get to be in front of the camera, I'm gonna milk it.
Once again, if people knew us 23 years ago and they were going to say who would be the in front of camera person and who would be the behind camera person, nobody would have put a money bet on me being in front of the camera.
No one would have said you were Tony Stark.
100%. Anyway,
Pepper Potts, you got it, but not Tony Stark.
No. First and foremost, last episode, we did not get a chance to dive into your illustrious coaching career. Now, in the words of the great Northwest suburban agent, Steve McMillan, hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
He will go on record to say that Matt Dollinger is the greatest real estate coach that ever lived and coached him.
Right.
So having been involved in so many real estate careers during that time, why do you think so many agents fail and so few succeed?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. And thank you that if Steve's watching. Hey, buddy, how are you? I think one of the biggest things is that this is a self-starting job. Like, you need to be driven to succeed. It's not like somebody's going to hold your hand and hold you accountable and everything along those lines. It's off to the races. You know, it's not like, I remember when my first got out of high school or college rather, and I had my short stint with the Nature Conservancy and found out that I wasn't going to be a park ranger because I couldn't make any money in it in life and whatever, whatnot. I was courted by a guy from New York Life, and he was going to like bring me under his wing and all this. I'm like, so where do I get you're just going to give me clients? And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, oh, I'd be really good if you just give me clients. But I think that self-starter mentality is the hard part. I think when you look past that, like, you need to have income to start with. Like, you have to be sitting here going, oh, you need to have back in the day, we said like you have to have 6 months of reserves to start in the business.
Or the ability to live very lean. And
right.
We did.
Which we were great at. Being poor, like back in the day, was like, we were really, really good at that. It was fun. We were good at that. But you know, you need to have all of these things, and you need to be a driver personality. You need to take advantage of these things. And a lot of people just aren't that way. You know, they're not wired that way. I'm not really even wired that way. I have to force myself to be that way, where you're that way naturally. I think the biggest difference, though, that I see with regards to agents who are super, super successful and those that either are moderately successful or don't, or end up getting out of the business, can be boiled down to a couple of things. Number one is the drive. You know, you're there, you gotta be willing to work the hours, really commit to it. And, you know, for very little reward or anything to start with. And sometimes no reward. You know, there's how many clients have you worked with that have ended up changing their minds or not doing something. And you're like sitting here going, oh, I just put in 45 hours of work and I'm not going to get paid for this.
6 hours of something or 6 years of my life.
Right. Exactly. I think the other one is that there needs to be this blend, this very good balance. And I think, like, when I look at you, and I know you best, but I want to look at you and some of the other top agents that are out there, they're really, really good at their jobs. There's this balance of like analytic and empathy that has to come in to the job. And empathy because this is something that you are going to get personal, like with people, to a level that not many other people are. Like, it's like full Monty, pull the covers off. You know, you and Dan know things that people never, it's like.
I know about more babies coming before families even do, to be completely honest and transparent.
I wasn't even going that way. I was going more financially and things like that. But yes, you probably know this stuff as well. But this empathetic aspect is that this is a place this is a home. It's not just a house. It's a home. And I know that we end up like making this out to be like it's an investment, it's a buy, it's a huge financial investment and everything like that. But it's more than that. It's like it's a home, and there's this empathy that has to come in here. It's like, you're not going to get everything you want. If you're working on a budget, you're not going to get the 2,000 square foot Victorian home in Lincoln Square with a double wide lot and things like that. You're going to have to give on some of these things. And you're going to have to tell people like, this is okay. You know, make them feel okay with it. People are going to lose out on homes. they're not going to be able to afford what they want. This empathy that really, I think, is super important to make people feel good and, feel like they're succeeding. The analytic aspect is that the number one thing that I think that you guys really bring to the table is the negotiation and the steering of the transaction. The analytic, it's knowing the market, knowing the pricing, knowing all of this stuff, that it's imperative. It's knowing how to actually get from an offer to the closing line with all of the fires and all the stuff that actually pop up at the meantime. And so when you take a look at this, it's like, this is not a common personality trait, like a driver empathetic analytic. That's not something that when you do your DISC profile, it's not something, that's really there. I mean, what do you think?
It goes a little bit like this. No, I think you hit on so many great topics, right? The reality is in from start to finish, and that could be a 90-day process, that could be a 9-year process. We get into the lives of people, right? If we're really doing our jobs well, we are part of that world and able to really steer the ship in the right direction and do so to help those people. We are celebrating the wins. We are feeling the losses. I always joke and say when I first got into the business, one of my mentors, Dave Hanna, told me, you got to learn not to take things so personally, because I was erratic with emotion as I was kind of throwing myself into my clients' worlds. And it was something that I had to learn. His advice was I had to learn that it didn't need to weather me so much, right? I had to be able to turn those feelings into fuel for better agency. And that's what I've learned to do over the years. But the reality is I still have to really have and possess those traits that you said. So I think you nailed it right on, is that it's a very multifaceted person that is a little bit quirkily wound,
right.
That helps people to really navigate it in the best fashion possible.
And I think the last part about it is just, it's somebody who takes their job amazingly serious. Like, they understand that this is not a transaction. You're not a lead. Somebody who is like really invested in making sure that these people are getting the right home, at the best dollar. And I think that all of those things put together, it's like, some people have never had that experience, and so they don't know what they're missing. So there are agents out there who don't necessarily pull all these things together, who do well. But I think that if you boiled it down, those are probably the biggest things that when I see people who come in with those traits, those are going to be the most successful.